All right, welcome back. Again, this is Ryan with Oak Harbor Web Designs, and let's start writing some HTML. So this is our design, and this is what we're starting with. So right away, we could save time. We don't need to do any of this. This is already done by the system, and this is how I will be starting all of my websites now, is with this. And I built this new system with Caselli in mind. So I just used his logos just to show what can be done and what it'll look like. So these are already taken care of with this. But we need to figure out how we're going to incorporate these lines right here. So we're going to be starting mobile first. So let's jump up to our iPhone 5, which is 320 pixels wide. And you can see that everything kind of scales down. We still got these guys sitting next to each other. Couldn't find a less awkward way to make the card section, so I just made these a little smaller, made this on top. What you can do if you don't like this, you could just make these full width as well. But let's, how do I want to do this? So right away I can tell you, I'm just going to remove that background, but this is the HTML video, so this is what it looks like on mobile. And now let's focus on this section right here. We already did, this is already done, and I got plenty of videos in my past to show you how to set these up. But just a quick overview, what's happening here is responsive. All we gotta do, we have a container, hero content, right? And this content is 1144 wide. And inside of it, we have this group, this container for hero text, and we're just aligning it to the left of the hero content section. So we're just pushing it to the left of its container, and we set a max width on it so it stops here, and that's basic positioning right there. You create a container and you position things within that container. So we can position this by doing a margin right auto, margin left 0, and it just stays here. So let's move on to this section. So this is gonna be interesting to try and make. Let's get the big thing, the big picture out of the way first. So this is going to be our promise. So promise, and let's just call it promise. Now, I think I want a container. I'm just deciding if I want to have a container or not, because we don't need one for up here. But we got these guys that need to. It's a UL, but that will be in 2 columns. So I think we can get away with not having a container here. So right away, I know that I'm going to be using the same styles for this top, right? You see this span on top plus heading plus p tag. This is a common thing I use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it without any specificity. So I think I'm going to do it with I'm going to dot topper, and so we're going to do dot, what do I want to call this thing, that span for our promise? Dot green letters. That's going to be our promise. Oh, that's a, no, I don't want a div, I want a span. Dot, what do I want to call it again? What was it again? Green. And this is Emmet that I'm using. It's the, it's an extension. It's Elm, what is it? Elm Emmet. So when you use it, it just makes writing out your HTML faster. So our promise. So like when I do this h2, if I wanted to do a class on it, h2 dot main, that dot, you know how you write it in CSS, you write it here and hit tab, and it does it for you. Nice and easy, but we don't need that. Let's get rid of that. Copy this, put this here. All right. And so that's going to be that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this topper that has these specific styles for just these specific things. That's why I'm putting it in a div, because I want to target it specifically. And when I copy and paste it in all of these, they're gonna all pull from the same CSS that describes this. So it'll just be easier to move this around and less work that I have to do. So underneath this, I'm going to do UL. So this is just a UL, unordered list. And when you have content like this, that's like grouped together like this, it's best to use a list because you can manipulate and space them all a lot easier than if you just made them separate divs. So we're going to do an li here, and we got an image. So inside this li, I'm going to have my image tag, images / I think is it check? Did I not save that? I didn't save it, so let's save it. I'm going to export as an SVG, export. I'm going to open this up right here. We're going to save, and we're going to do check. There we go. Now we got a check. Check SVG, and on all of your images now. So aria hidden equals true. So we do this. This is an aria attribute, so that screen readers ignore it. There's no reason for them to go over this. This is just decorative. It has no inherent meaning, and it doesn't add to the content or context. So we just hide it from screen readers. And then we do loading equals lazy so that we can use the browser supported lazy loading that comes built in with your browser. And then we do decoding async. It's probably something you've never seen before. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I know that if you want to, optimize your images and how they load, decoding async improves page speeds. And now we're going to do, it's 22, so we got to do our widths and heights. So width 22, height 22. And that's, I know that's a lot, but that's everything that needs to be on your images. If you need to hide them, you need to hide them. You need to lazy load them. You need to set the decoding to async so that it loads better. And then you need your width and heights. And you need an alt attribute, but since we're hiding it from screen readers, it's going to ignore it anyway. So the alt attribute, there we go, is moot. It doesn't matter because the screen reader is not going to read it anyway, so ignore it. And inside of here, I'm going to have a I guess I'll do a span. It's not quite a heading and it's not a paragraph, so we're going to use a span. That's another test in proper semantics, using the right tags for the right instance. A lot of people might use p tags for this, for like these we offer a 3-year warranty, etc. But these aren't really paragraphs. They're just sentences. They're just brief statements, and they're not exactly headings. They're not headlines. So we use a span for any content that does not fit within those definitions. So we're going to use a span, and we're going to call it dot item. So what we're doing here is inside of this li right here, I am making the li act like a box, right? Let's just move that down, or not 10, maybe 50. So this box is the li, right? And what I'm doing is I am adding 2 elements inside of it that are separate, You know, you could add this as just text of the li, but I like to use this. I like to put them in spans so that I can manipulate them however I want. So I have two distinct elements inside of here, and I'm going to use Flexbox to position them. So that's why I'm doing it this way, to get these check marks to do what I want them to do. And now, so I got this. I'm not going to put the text in here just yet. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 8. So I'm going to copy it without the text. Copy, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That way I don't have to delete text and copy paste new ones. So I could just take this, put it here, take this, do that. So it's just easier to immediately copy and paste rather than copying the span element with text already in it and then having to remove it. Okay, so those are done. Now, yeah. And that's my cue. Breakfast is done. So I'm just going to do a quick cut. You're not going to notice anything, but an hour will have passed. So I'm going to go eat breakfast, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Breakfast was delicious. So now that that is done, let's get these boxes. So I think the best way to go about this, if we want to make it exactly, I think what I need to do, so we need to visualize this. If we want to do this, we need to visualize it as a box. So we have, this is all connected. So if I draw a box here, I'm just lining it out. So if that's the top, and it looks like this is the bottom. Okay, and there we go. So if it's that, there we go. So that's the edge, that's the top and bottom. And then this is, let's see. So it's got to be centered. So let's say 900. Is this it? Is this a good one to do? So if we do 900 and if it's centered, it looks like that corner is still in there. See, it looks like we got all of our boxes contained here. This one's in the lower bottom. So we remove this, remove this. Oh, we got this guy. So this guy is just going to be, he's going to be outside the box. But this is our general, this is going to be our container. It's going to be 900 by 103 wide. And let's just make this 0, but add a, let's add a border to it. There, so that's how we're going to visualize it. So this one would be bottom 0, you know, bottom 23. So that's how we're going to bottom 23, left 93. So that's how we're going to do. We're going to make this exactly. And it's going to be a little painstaking, a little tedious, but that's what happens when you make something unique. If you don't want to watch me do this, you can just you know, just skip the video until you see that it's over. But for now, let's put this together. So we're going to do this in a div. Squares is what we'll call it. And inside of it, let's just count our squares, shall we? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I count 15 squares. So we're going to do, so this is the squares container. We're going to do a square class. And obviously, aria hidden. We don't want a screen reader to have to go over each and every one of these. So it's nice when I do hidden aria, or aria hidden true on a container, everything inside the container is now not being picked up by the screen reader. So whatever I put in here, the screen reader will ignore because the container is hidden. So everything inside the container will also be hidden. So we got our square here. Let's just copy and paste 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then do this 3 times, 2, 3. So now we get our squares. And we're just going to be using the nth type selector to position them. That wasn't too bad. Actually, yeah. So then we could just move on to the next one because I mean the CSS styling, and that's where the most of the time will take. So we're going to go down because we got these done. And now we're going to go here. So what I'm going to do, oops, promise, we're going to take this, we're going to copy paste you. We're going to create a new section. And for those of you new to this, this way of doing HTML, I like to have my commented sections so that it's easier to see where the heck I'm at in my HTML. It just breaks it up and into bite-sized chunks, and you'll notice on the right here, you can even see these things. So you can already tell where you're at in the site just by looking at these comment blocks. And every section of my website is done in a section tag. And if you have a portion of your website that doesn't have an H tag 1 through 6, then it does not fit the definition for a section, and you just use a div. But if you have a section, like when we zoom out, this is a section, this is a section, this is a section. It's just the different sections of the website. We break it up into section tags. That's better semantics, that's better structure, and Google will thank you for it. So doesn't look like everything looks like it has an H tag in it, so everything will have a section tag. So that's why I'm using sections. If you're not used to seeing that, like what the hell is this? And we got our main tag and our footer. So we put the footer in the footer tag. Obviously down here has all the contact info and stuff. Now we got to get this promise here. Or no, this was the promise. And now this is the services. There you go. Yeah, normally what I do in my web design is immediately after the sections, I like to have the about section. So you learn what they do, right? This is why we have it up here. So they remember the first part of the website, and they remember the last part of the website. So you put your gallery toward the bottom, and underneath that you put any of the last like convincers. So I always put my testimonials at the bottom because I want them to remember the nice things that people have said about my client. So that stays in their mind, and they leave the website with a positive like emotion, positive interaction. So that's why I always put testimonials at the bottom, because again, their attention spans are short. You only remember the first and last part of a website generally. So I want them to remember what they do, the main things they do, and I want them to remember the nice things people say. So that's why this is at the bottom. Also, we have a why choose Caselli painting. I also put that at the bottom. Just again for it's the same effect. I want them to remember why to choose them and why people said nice things. So you put all your content and stuff in the middle. Generally I put an about here, but you know, given COVID, he wanted to make a more of a push to tell people that it's, you know, they're being safe. Everything they're doing is in accordance in what's the word? Accordance to safety guidelines and cleanliness guidelines, and just making sure that everyone's safe. You don't have to worry about anybody spreading COVID in your house with Caselli. So we put that here instead, and then we'll just have the about us. We'll just link to about them somewhere to learn more about them, maybe down here or something. So that's why. That's the general idea structure of a website. You just have your content, miscellaneous content in the middle, you know, services on top, testimonials, and convincers at the bottom. So, so we got services. I think that, well, this is going to be extra services. Let's give that an ID of extra. And yeah, the reason I do this is because a lot of times you have extra services that you want to display on your website and rank for. You want the keywords on your website. So I choose the top 3 to be up top. These are the big money makers, the ones that they mostly do and that they want to be known for. And then in the middle, we, you know, add all the other things, the smaller things, the more niche or not as common things, so that we can pop up in search results for those, because we have the content on our website that says we do it when people search for it. So we put that in the middle, and we put the main ticket items up top, where we want people to see them and remember them and know that, you know, Caselli, this is what they do. And then there's others. So that's the reasoning behind this. So we're going to, let's see, we're going to take this topper, we're going to steal this from here. So we're going to copy that, and we're going to place that here. And, excuse me. So that's done, but we got to add our P. Take this. Great. I gotta format it. Our promise, our services. Cool. So that's there. And then for here, when we're looking at structuring this, this is obviously a Flexbox. So we're gonna have the container that needs to contain all of this. So I'm gonna have a dot service container, and we're gonna need to put the cards in there. So let's see. Oh, I got a text from the wife. She's not feeling good, so I gotta go bring her down the water bottle. So I'm gonna go bring down a water bottle, and I'm gonna do a quick cut and get back to this. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and I'll also bring down some Tylenol. Sorry for the interruptions. That's what happens when you work from home. Sorry, I'm out of breath going up the stairs. Jeez, I need better cardio. This is getting ridiculous now. It's just stairs. So we got our cards, and we're gonna have an image and an H2. Or this is H2. This is a P, so this will be H3. Proper heading hierarchy. Every section starts with an H2. So this section, this big one's our H2. This is going to be a span. And then underneath it, if we have any other headings, it has to go in order 2, 3, 4, then 5. So we have another heading. And so we already did our 2. We can't have these be 2 again. So these are going to be H3. So we're going to do an image slash images. What is it? Is it a service? Yeah, service SVG. And then we got to do all of our loading equals lazy. Are you hidden? Equals true.
Dad.
Yeah, bud?
Guess what?
What?
Window. Minecraft. Minecraft house.
Just a second. Kid walked in, and I gotta go, you know, do dad things. So, again, another quick awkward cut. Okay, I'm back now. So we left off on this image, and they are 80 by 80. And we have to do these heights and widths because these will mark you off on your Google PageSpeed and Lighthouse scores. So we have to put in these height and widths. I think that's it for that. And then we need our H3. And if you notice here, I have a lighter version of the SVG. So there's two things we can do. We can either inline the SVG where we actually copy and paste the code here and it makes it hella messy and significantly increases the DOM node structure. And you don't want, if you have too many of those, it can actually hurt you. So I like to just, I like to put them all in image tags because if they are in line in code, you can just change the fill color, which is cool. But I prefer to use image tags, and the only drawback is it's another HTTP request. So it is another server request. So we do have to deal with that. However, since my websites are so lightweight and compact, I think the most requests I ever make for a total website is like between 30 and 50. So I can afford this because of the way I build my websites. So extra HTTP requests, no big deal. So service one, and then service one hover. Hover is the I already saved these. I used flat icon to download and edit them. So I already saved them as service one and service one hover. And so now that we have this group, we're gonna do this 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's just change these to 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5, 5, 6, and 6. And then we're going to do, so you notice these are on 2 lines, and you can just do 1 line of the H3. So we take this kitchen cabinets. What I like to do is I'll just wrap this in a span so that I can set the span to display blocks so that I can control them splitting instead of having to change the widths and everything. I can just tell all of the spans to be block and they'll jump to the next line. And that's what we're going to do for all of them. So kitchen cabinets, we got home, span, renovations, and bathroom, cabinets and walls, interior, painting, exterior, painting, and power washing. And that's that section. So now we got 1, 2, and 3. We got 3 more sections. So let's take this. This here, do a section with an ID. Let's copy that 3 times, just so we have it already done. Okay. Now we're going to do portfolio. This will be a fun one. Yeah, it's about even. And we're going to do our topper. this, and I think I'm going to add text there. There's no text here, but I think I'm going to add text just to add some extra content to this website. So we'll add that and we'll keep the P. And then we need the gallery of images. So these need to live in their own little box so that I can arrange them accordingly. And the way I think I'm going to do this is these will be in a 3x3 grid, right? They're going to be aligned, you know, how they want. But I think I'll target the second and fourth one, and I will translate them. I'll use the translate property, and I will just push them down however much this is. So these will stay the same, but these will be pushed down, or I could just do a margin top. But you know, there's a few different ways we can tackle this. The easiest would be to translate, or use a margin. But we'll play with it and we'll see. For now, how do I do this? So there's a couple of different ways to do your images, especially for images that are going to be changing a lot. And when you change an image, the irritating aspect is if you have these already, like this is this height and width, this is this height and width. If you have to change these images, you have to make them the exact same height and width, or else they're going to be pushing against everybody else. They're not going to fit perfectly anymore. So one of the ways I've been doing this is I wrap it in a div dot image. So inside of here, I'm just going to grab an image tag just to copy and paste all that nonsense that we have to do now. I put an image inside of a div. And what I do is I make the div the height and width that it needs to be. I set the image to be position absolute, height and width 100%, top 0, left 0, so it sticks up here. And then object fit cover. That's specific for images. Object fit, where it will fit and cover. That object fit is how does it fit inside of its container. So I want it to cover the container. So whatever the container is, since I absolutely positioned it, it will be height and width of 100%. And I'm telling it to cover it. It will cover the entire div. And now, no matter what size image or dimension image I put, like if I change this to be a different one, it's going to fit inside this box. So maybe the image is actually 300 wide and 300 tall. Well, because of the object fit property and I absolutely positioned it, it will fit and cover this 273 by 369. So that's the easiest way to make a static gallery that changes. So that's what we're going to do here. And it's going to be, do I have these saved? I should have these saved. Let me go check my folder here. And actually, no, we don't. I don't have these saved. So I'm going to save them now. Export, JPEG, save as. That was my other project. Now we're going to do Caselli. So we're going to do, I'll just say paint 1. And the baby has entered the room. That is my cue for nap time. So another cut, and a couple hours later, I'll get back to this, but it'll feel like 2 seconds for you. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now. It's now the next day. Nap time really kind of took the whole day away after that. So we're looking at this. So we need our exterior one. I think we have, let me go to my pictures here. Caselli images, what do we got? I don't think I saved anything. So let's just save an image. Let's save this rectangle as a JPEG. And we're going to go to Caselli. let's just say port 1. Let's change this to port 1. And what I'm going to do, so I've been doing this new thing lately. So I'm using the source set right here so that we can load mobile images at 320 wide and regular images at 760 wide and up, which is tablet and up. We load the large image. So I save this and I just copy and paste it. So actually, we're just going to do this. And this source is the default. So if the browser doesn't support source set, it's just going to load the default, which is port 1. And let me pull up the images really quick. So what I'm going to do here is port 1. I'm going to double click it and I'm going to resize it. Right now it's 273, which is actually kind of what I want. But on mobile, so I think I'm going to have maybe 2. I'm going to see what it looks like and see if I can squeeze 3 in there. So I think I want to make them 150 wide. And I'm going to save it at the highest. You know, the small, we're basically decreasing this by 50%, almost. And that's going to significantly reduce the load time for this when it does load. So we're going to save this, and it's going to be port 1 mobile. So I save different versions. I save a mobile style and a desktop style. So here is where we put our port 1. And then here is port 1. So here's a little comma separating them. If this looks easier for you, this source is the fallback, and the browser will you pick these numbers, and this W is like I guess it's a parameter, I don't know, but you say 320 width, which on our screen here, 320 is the minimum for phones. So we're saying at 320 wide, I want you to load the mobile version of this logo. And at 768 wide, which is tablet, and on, starting from here and everything forward, load the regular one. And I can do however many I want, depending on how crazy you want to get. But you don't really need to do that because we're doing this so that we can optimize for mobile, because we want to load the smallest assets possible, because there's no reason if we're going to be fitting, so this is 273 wide. If we want to fit 2 of them in here, we need a screen that's at least 550 wide, and that doesn't make sense here. So we're going to shrink them down, and they're probably, I'm going to see if I can get away with making it 3 wide like this. Otherwise, it's probably going to be 2 wide, and they're probably going to be half this size. If it's 150, that means they're taking up almost the entire width, because this is 320. So 150 is 300. That leaves really no, that's like no gaps there. So what I can do to optimize even better is I think I can reduce this to, let's say 125. Wait, port 1, paint 1. Okay, port 1. There we go. So we reduced it even further because we don't need 150 wide. Because the width that it is displaying at on mobile is smaller than that 150. So we want to display them at their actual sizes as close as we can get. So there's really no benefit to making it 150. We can only benefit by making it smaller and load a smaller asset. So that's what we're going to do. So there's that image. And we're going to do 6 of them. So we're going to take this and we're going to multiply this by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there's a reason that I name these the way I do with the ports and the ones. So that's 1, and I just go in and change all these to 2. Except that one is 3, I don't know why. So we're just going to change these guys out. I guess they're all missing that port. Okay, so we got all those. There's really no point to, because these aren't actually his images. These are just random ones that I found online. So instead of just downloading them all, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to copy these, paste 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So port 1, copy. Oh, sorry. There's already port 1. Port 2, copy. 3, 4. So we got those, and now we got our port 1 mobile. I'm going to take this, copy. So this is going to be, that's 1. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There, so now when I eventually do get the images, all I'm doing is just saving and overwriting. So yeah, let's see, port 1. Why is port 1 over here? JPEG, port 1, alright, port 1 dash mobile. Maybe because I gotta put a 1 here. Oh, because I'm an idiot, that's why. Mother, alright. Here's port 1. Port 1. Oh, copy this. Port 2 mobile. Port 3 mobile. Port 4. Port 3. I already got 3. I got 4. I need 5 and 6. Okay, now that makes sense. Now 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. So now all I gotta do is just override, and then there they are. So now these are in, and then there's the matter of what to do with this graphic. So if we get rid of these, okay. So we got this this triangle. So it's basically made up of these two cross-hatching triangles. So I'm just trying to find a way. I'm trying to plan how I want to do this because one of the ways to do this is you have two divs right here, right, that are 1440 wide by 450 tall, that are rotated negative 26.6 and 26 negative 153.4. So they form this, and then each one has their own pseudo element. So this would be a before, like this, the second one. This would be a before, and this would be an after. And then they're just intersecting. I mean, that seems like the easiest way. There's also hiring a SVG guy on Fiverr. I can export this whole thing and just have him make it as an SVG for me for like $10. And that makes things a lot easier. It's a lot messy. It's not as messy either. I think that's what I'm gonna. Is that what I want to do? I think that's what I want to do. I think I'm just gonna hire someone on Fiverr to do it. I got a graphic guy I use. Well, I mean, now I'm just trying to plan this out now. Because I'm trying to think if it's easier to create two divs that are positioned this way in the center and going off infinitely, or if I just have an image, if I export this as an image and I just set it to be 100% width, that might be a lot easier. It'll definitely scale a lot easier. So let's try that. Let's do the easy way first and see if that works. The easiest way is to just export this whole thing as an SVG. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. So save as. Chevron, or port, chevron. This is in white brush at my other client. We're going into Caselli. There we go. Okay, so that's done. So what I'm going to try and do, since this is on the big main container, I'm just going to bring these guys back. Come on. There we go. So right up top here, I'm just going to copy paste. But I don't need this source set. So I'm just going to remove this. There's my source. Put you back over here. Loading, async, no alt. It's an aria hidden because it's just decorative. And I mean, width and height, it's an SVG, so there's really no width and height, so I just got to tell it what to be. So let's just say 1000 by 500. And it's going to be /port chevron. And then we'll do class equals chevron. So we're going to load that. We're going to absolutely position it in the center, and it's just going to be 100% the width. Well, that's it, right? I think, yeah. we'll see how that works. But my fallback is we just do 2 divs, and then we'll play with that. So I think that's good there. Let's change this to portfolio. Get our height and width, loading lazy. Okay, cool. So we come down here in our new section, and this is going to be Y. So Y choose. And then, so we're going to have a container so that we can have these guys bounce off each other and position them. Although technically maybe we don't. See, our goal with HTML is to use as few divs as possible. Now looking at this, it's obvious to see that there could be a container involved. However, since there is no background, because like if you just use this as the container and we set it to be a max width of 1224, if there was a background image on it or a background color, there would be no color over here because this is how wide this is. So the image and background color would just stay in this box. So then you'd want to use a container so that you can still apply the colors and images to the background container and position off of the inside container. So we don't have that right now. So we're going to just ignore, we don't need a container. So that's one less div, one less node in the DOM that we have to add. So we're going to do left section. And then we're going to do right section. And left section, so we got these triangles or squares here. And we can't do a pseudo on an image. It just doesn't allow you to do that. So right away, this tells me we're going to need an image. I'm just going to grab this generic. Well, no, I'm going to load a smaller image on mobile. So, dang it. Okay, so I got these swapped. So I'm going to take you. I'm going to put you right here. I'm going to take you. Put you right here. Stay organized, Ryan. Okay, so we got, what's the chair? Whoops. This is 413 wide. Let's save a mobile version, resize. I think 250 is a good one. Mobile. I'm going to move this up off screen. So that when we use this, so it's going to be, what is it, preview? I'll take this. There we go. That's the mobile version. That's the desktop version. That will load. It's lazy loading. And you are 413 by 395. 413, 395. And inside of this left section, I'm going to need a square. So I'm going to make this square. Let's get you out of the way. This square is going to be the main square. And these two are going to be pseudo elements attached to it. So we're going to have a square. And that's it. We're going to already hit in it. And I think we got to hide this one too, because it's just a ladder. I mean, it doesn't really add anything. So we're going to hide that from screen readers. We're going to get rid of this. And then over here, I mean, we basically just got our standard topper up here. So we just got to copy and paste the topper here. and we put it in the right section. And if you look at this, so we have this topper div that contains all of this so that we can use it for styling purposes. And we have it in this right section container. We don't actually need the right section container. This is an extra div we don't need because this can act alone, this topper. So we can get rid of this right section and just put topper there because it is its own enclosed section. It just happens to be named already, so we don't have to say that. So we can now target this topper specifically because the other one, we're going to target it with the ID or without the ID. So we're not going to use ID. We're just going to have class topper with no ID. And then we're going to scope it and we're going to say ID services class topper, text align left, and we're going to have all that. And that's it. That'll take care of itself. And then testimonials. So I don't have the extra like this as I do down here, and I don't like that, so I'm just going to do that anyway. So I'm going to take my topper. And I'm going to put it in here. So there's my topper right there. And this is going to say our reviews what people have to say about Jay's painting. So we're going to put that there. And we're going to have not as much. Let's just have a little bit of text. And then we're going to have our box here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this with a container because if we want to add more testimonials later, we can do that without much difficulty. So I'm just going to put it in a little box, reviews box, and we're going to have our review. And so we get our name and stars. So I think we're just going to do name group, and we're going to put our span name me, and then we're going to have, actually, you know what, I'm going to save these. Do I have star group? Is this saved as a star group? I keep clicking this, dang it. Services, I just have star. I don't think I have star group. All right, so I'm going to export this as an SVG. Because what happens sometimes is people export them individually, and now you're making an HTTP request 5 times for each section. So if you have like 4 of these, that's like 20 extra HTTP calls for image tags that you don't need when you can just do one. So that's what we're going to do. Let me grab my generic image that does not need to scale, and we're going to put that in here. Images / star group. So that's a star group. And you're 93 by 19. And you're going to be stars. Hidden, loading lazy, decoding. Okay, we're hidden, so we don't need an alt tag. And that's it. Now we got the review. Let's just lorem this. So what's nice about Emmet is I could type lorem and like a number, hit tab, and it gives me that many. So pretty neat stuff. And we're just going to copy and paste this twice. And that should do that. Now we got these 3 squares or rectangles. So what I'm going to do, I'm just planning how fancy I want to get, because I mean I could very easily do this with one div with two pseudos, but if I want to animate them on load, I want to get really fancy here. I think I got to put the rectangles up here. Did I put the rectangles up here? Hero, span, call now. I did not, so let's put our rectangles in here. I think, so how do I want to do this? I know they're going to be individual divs because, especially on landing, I think it'd be really cool if they, I'm going to do my little mark, this little hand so I don't hover over anything and highlight it. So I want them to animate their width or height or whatever so that they grow this way and this way and this way and overlap, and it looks like, you know, it's being painted as the site loads. So I know I'm going to need them as individual divs that I can target. And they're going to be absolutely positioned where they can be in the, I think they can be in the hero. I think it's going to be in the hero. So we'll go down here at the edge of the section, and we're going to do our rectangle 1. Equals true. Okay, so these are our rectangles here, and they're going to animate. So I guess I will also just take these and I'll put them down here. And they will animate. They'll do their own little animation as well on scroll down there. And then that's it. That's all the markup, because we already have this done, part of the build kit. And just to help you out with what is happening here is, so we have, let's break down the footer. So if we were to do the HTML for this, when you look at this, you have to look at the big picture first. So what are the main groups that you see that can be grouped in their own containers? And right away, my eyes tell me, okay, this is by itself, and this is by itself. These are positioned. These are next to each other. So I need one right section, and left section, and one right section. So there's my two big divs, and here they are right here. And in this right section here, what else do we see? We have these three columns, and just the way that they're structured, this is absolutely going to be unordered lists. So that's what we have over here. We got one unordered list for the company. See, this list item has the company H2 there, and then this one has the LIs for support and contact, and this one has the LIs for get in touch, and all these LIs have an image next to an A tag so that you can click the link. And this button, I actually, it was in its own separate buttons because it used to be over here. And I think I'm going to keep it this way. So I have the lists in their own, like these are in their own container, and this is in its own container, so they can sit on top of each other. And this way, if I need to add anything, I can push this over, put something else over here. So I can put something else in the bottom. So I'm leaving my two containers here. So I got my buttons container, which is here, and I got my list container, which is on top and containing each UL individually. And then I just Flexbox it, and I Flexbox everything. So that's how that is done. And that's just the way that you got to start thinking when you're looking at your HTML is, okay, what are the big groups that need to position themselves around each other. Like what's the big sections? So you chop those guys up, and then you look at inside of those, and you look at the way they're positioned and how they have to be placed, and then you use it to determine which elements need to be grouped together to make that positioning easy. Like knowing how Flexbox works, if I had this and I had a, oops, come here. Let's say I had a second button and I did this. Yeah, that looks awful. There we go. Even for teaching purposes, I need to have it aligned. So if I had this, right, you couldn't just make this part of the list because it extends past the list boundaries and it would be pushing this away, and you'd have a hard time getting this to scoot over and overlap, and it'd just be a mess. So it's best to keep these guys in their own container underneath these guys' container so that I can position these however I want and I can position these however I want. It gives me the most control. So that's the reasoning behind that, and basically how to plan your HTML. Just look at the big picture and then start going down your chopping block as you go inside. So I think that's it for this. The HTML is pretty cut and dry. And now we're going to go to the CSS, and that is where the magic's going to start. You're gonna see me do it, and you're gonna see it happen in action. And in my previous videos, I do an individual video for each breakpoint from mobile, tablet, and desktop. Instead, I'm doing an entire video on CSS, and I'm gonna show you how much more efficient this is. And there's really no reason for me to do individual videos because I can crack all these sections out, mobile to desktop, with very little work, and I'm excited to show you. So onto mobile, and get ready to have your mind blown, or you know, maybe not blown, maybe firecrackered, just a little spark. But depending on if this is crazy to you or not. So I'll see you in the next video, and I'm really excited to show you my new way of doing mobile for CSS.